certainly going into the trade period, we were well aware that Dayne wanted to come home for those family reasons that he stated. So once a player of that ability and quality and with a family connection at the footy club is possibly available, then we did everything we could to make sure that that would occur, that he would be able to get here to Brisbane. We're always aware that it was going to cost us a fair bit to make that deal happen. So there's a lot of negotiations over that. It's well documented, and Collingwood setting their own deadline, not the AFL's deadline, and that worked to a position. And then we added in the finish. We had to add a young player in Jack Crisp to make the deal happen. Ideally, we wouldn't have wanted Jack to go, but to make that deal happen, to get a player of that ilk and quality is the best outcome, I think. I think when you're in negotiation, particularly for a player of that ability, then the club who's losing that player is always going to be wanting to negotiate pretty hard. And I just think it was a bit of toing and froing all the time in the end, to make sure that they got what they wanted and we got a quality player, and I think that was a good outcome for both clubs. I think initially Collingwood asked for players that we weren't prepared to deal with. We made that clear that that I think the names mentioned were Rich, Redden, Aish, Mays in particular, Hanley, and we just said that's just not going to happen. So, I don't think we needed to tell those players, that they weren't on the table. I think we made that pretty clear straight away. The board was sending directive on, what was required to get the deal done for Dayne Beams. So, at one stage they said there was a deadline on that Friday, and that seemed to be that would be the case. And then, like always, not always, but most times, negotiations keep going on behind the scenes, and Collingwood in the end realised that they could get a good deal for their footy club, and even though they were losing a terrific player, they went for the deal that was best for them. Jack Crisp came into it because Jack's management had also indicated that at some stage Jack was happy to look at going back to Melbourne or Victoria. So once that was indicated, then that was always a possibility that Jack wasn't going to be too upset about moving. Yeah, there's always times where you think, this might be too hard and this mightn't happen, but history would suggest that eventually the deal will get done, because there hasn't been too many times when it hasn't got done. I think with any fan base there's always going to be people who are going to be really vitriolic and nasty, if you like. I think it's a small minority, so there's going to be a few. Hope he doesn't go too well coming up here, and he'll get booed, no doubt, when we play Collingwood, but that's all seems to be part of it. I think there's a lot of people who'd respect what he's done for Collingwood. He's been a great player for them, a premiership player, so hopefully they remember that. I think Beams will fit anywhere we like. History says he's a midfielder who can go forward, so he's certainly going to add wherever he plays.